On the topic of what makes a good learning environment, Norma Cook Everest highlights a number of important factors in creating a good learning community on page 64 of her book, The Church as Learning Community. Safety, trust, hospitality, and healthy boundaries, to name a few. And while all of these are important, in my experience, one of the most important, if not the most important, factor is trust. The creation of trust in a learning community is critical in the learning process. First, there must be trust between the teacher and the learner. The learner is presumably in the presence of the teacher so that they, the learner, might gain knowledge, information, or experience. The learner enters into this learning relationship with the expectation, either consciously or subconsciously, that the teacher will be honest, or helpful, constructive, or safe. As shared a few moments ago, Cook Everest also lists safety as an important component in the learning community, including physical safety, emotional, intellectual, and cultural safety. And I would include relational safety to this list, as the learner should feel like the relationship between them and the teacher is healthy and reciprocal and shares the learner's goal of gaining information. But it's not just the learners who benefit from trustworthy learning communities. Teachers also thrive in environments where they feel like they can trust those under their charge or under their care. On page 65 of The Church as Learning Community, Everest Cook notes that teachers or others who are responsible for developing learners must not demand the learner's trust. She states that teachers must be trustworthy, and I would add that learners must also prove themselves trustworthy if the learning community is to be maximized. But it's important to remember that this trust development doesn't happen immediately. Going back to the expectation of demanding trust. We can't really demand trust right out of the gate. It's something that develops over time and with intentionality. Everest Cook underscores this on page 66 by stating that consistency in this development of trust is key between teachers and learners, but also between learners and other learners. Again, there are a number of factors that facilitate an effective learning community: safety, hospitality, and healthy boundaries among them. However, I really believe that trust and trustworthiness are foundational to each of these. For example, if trust has developed between a teacher and a learner, or again, maybe between one learner and another learner, safe spaces begin to be created. Members of the community perceive that they can be open, authentic, and vulnerable in the learning community because of the trust that has developed over time. Also, genuine hospitality, creating an environment where people feel cared for and where their needs find support, it's established through trust. If someone enters a space and is approached by a teacher or a fellow learner, feelings of trust can protect one from feeling anxious, excluded, or even out of place. Healthy boundaries are also established when one party trusts that the other will do what they say they will do, or not do what they say they will not do. The shared understanding of appropriate behavior is established when teachers and learners experience and demonstrate trust. And one of the learning communities that I've been a part of is a small group Bible study at one of the churches that I serve. This is a group that was established before my appointment began, and they had already established some norms and ways of interacting with one another. And as I've been part of this group for 6 years now, I have seen the results of genuine trust development that has really occurred over time. As an example, within the group, I know that there are individuals who have different alignments with the political parties here in America. And the culture of this group has developed to the point where, in addition to unpacking scripture and discerning what God is trying to teach through the word, members of the group try to identify how these words apply to their lives today. And invariably, these conversations circle around the political climate in our own country as well as around the world. What I have found is that even though individuals share different viewpoints, and they know they share different viewpoints, they have treated each other with care, with honesty, but with respect. And this has all come because of the trust that has developed. Every member of the group feels that they can openly and genuinely share their thoughts and their beliefs, even if the person sitting next to them or across the table happens to disagree. Now, I've seen new individuals join this group over time. And of course, as you might imagine, they enter into this group rather cautiously at first. They are told up front the nature and the culture of the group, and they do tread a little lightly. But when they find that their viewpoints or their perceptions or their interpretations, either of Scripture or of its applicability to their lives or to the world around us, when they find that those viewpoints are not shouted down or made fun of or anything of that nature, that trust develops and strengthens. And really, all members of the group learn. Not a week seems to go by where someone doesn't say, well, gosh, I didn't realize X, or I didn't know about Y, or I appreciate your perspective on Z. Uh, Someone learns every time, and this healthy learning community has developed exclusively, I would argue, because of trust between all those who are present. And as a result, the group really demonstrates both the shalom and the irene that Everest Cook refers to on page 68. So, trust is very important in many aspects of our lives, but in my opinion, this is especially true when it comes to individuals and groups engaging in conversation around faith and learning.